Well, here I'm on a rainy, blustery, cold Saturday morning in my garage doors shut, so the lighting's going to be pretty bad today. Working on the 2008 Saturn Astra, and today I'm putting on a new control arm on the front right. And I've already done the driver's side, so passenger side is all I've got to do on this. The reason I didn't do the passenger side when I did the driver's side is because I noticed that my CV axle was flinging grease, and so I went ahead and got an axle for it as well, so we'll be replacing that on this side as well. And then hopefully this thing will be running without any trouble for quite some time. I will have to take it and have an alignment when I'm finished with this, and honestly my tires are pretty old, and so probably need to check into maybe getting at least a couple of new tires. So with that said, let's get started. I'm going to apologize once again for the poor lighting here today. It's because I got my garage door closed. It's cold and rainy. And I'm probably not going to do a lot of talking during this video, just maybe break in every now and again, or maybe do some voiceover. First thing I got to do is pop this little hubcap off of there, right there, so I can loosen up the axle bolt. And then I'll also hit the lug bolts and loosen those as well. We'll jack this thing up, pull the wheel off, separate the ball joint from, which is part of the control arm. Separate the knuckle and the ball joint. I'm not going to remove the tie rod end or take it loose from the knuckle. I think I'll have enough play once I get that ball joint. It's not a job I'm looking forward to doing, but once I get that separated, I should have enough play to be able to get the axle out. If not, I'll take the tie rod end loose as well. Then we'll pop the axle out, we'll get the rest of the control arm out, and we'll go from there. Alright, got it jacked up, got the wheel off, got everything, got the jack stand under there, got a jack under there for safety, just tight to the pinch weld, and I always put my wheel underneath there, so if any one of those things fails, at least the wheel will catch it and I can get out from under it. I shouldn't really need to get too far under it except for to pop the axle out. So here's what we're going to be dealing with today. I got to take the axle nut the rest of the way off. You can see the grease boot, the CV axle boot is torn right there, so that's why I'm taking the axle out and replacing it. There's the control arm, the rear bushing towards the rear end of the car, probably shot. That's the rear one, was the bad one on the other one. And then you have, oh, where'd you go? Right there. The one on the front end of the car was also bad on the other one, but I don't remember which one was the worst, but anyways, one of them was torn. So now what I'm going to do is actually see if I can get the pinch bolt undone. Can't even get you a shot of that. There it is. Try to get that pinch bolt. You notice it's pretty rusty, and get that ball joint separated from the knuckle and go from there. Pinch bolt is out. That came a lot easier than I thought it would. All right, so I'm inspecting this axle boot, and here's the interesting thing. I don't actually see a tear. Probably could have just had this clamp redone, because it seems to be leaking or flinging the grease just right out from there. It's not so loose that I can get it apart with my hands, so but I understand that's a known issue with these track motives, and actually it's a known issue that the boots tear, but it actually seems okay. But I want to show you the rest of this thing. Look how rusty this is. This is just a year and a half. This is just from the salt and slush and snow from winter driving in Canada. This boot's actually intact. It's still pretty good, but this is just, when I put this in, it was nice, clean, it was painted. Probably should paint the one I'm going to put in with an extra coat of something, but I'm too lazy to do that. Anyways, the other problem I had with this track motive is that there was a vibration. Now, I'm thinking that the vibration may have been not so much the issue with the axle or the CV joints, but maybe with the control arm being bad. So we're going to put in the new one, and we are going to put in a new control arm and call that good. All right, I found something else wrong with that old axle. So I'm just kind of comparing the parts. This all looks fine here. When I get to the inner CV, I was like, wow, that's way longer. But as it turns out, and I did not do this when I popped it out, I used a crowbar. That's not even connected in there. I'm starting to wonder if this is bad inside there, came apart, and that's my vibration that I've been feeling. Huh. I mean, let's see if I can get a good shot of this. Yeah, there's no, that is not right. So again, don't buy track motive. Just don't do it. Hopefully the GSP will be better quality. I don't know if you can see it, but the axle is now seated in there, into the transmission. Let's see if I can give it a little tug test. Yeah. Yep, it's seated. The little clip, circlip, or ring, or whatever that is in there is locked in. So now I'll go feed this into the spindle and we'll get the control arm going. I don't know if I got it on video of me taking this thing out, but I had to kind of really get that thing, pull this out quite a ways, and really kind of get that axle out of there. I don't know if you can see clear back in there or not, but that was the old one back there, and that CV joint back there was bad. It was popped out. So it was basically making the axle longer, which is why I had to do that. Getting this one in, which is actually correct, fit perfectly and went in easily. So axle in. Next up, let's get that control arm out of there and get it replaced. All right, just a couple of things. In order for me to get my socket, I only have deep well sockets. This takes an 18, and I can't quite fit it in there because it's too shallow here, but this plastic piece can come off. So I'll take that clip out, and then underneath here, there's a couple of these little Torx screws, and I'll take that out. Now, the other thing I want to tell you is that when I get this off, you're going to see that I got some oil leakage. I have addressed it. I have actually even taken it somewhere and had someone address it and say, basically, welcome to having an old car. Now, I didn't like that answer so much, but anyways, they said, you're not leaking anything really worth talking about. So before you comment on it, just be aware. I'm aware. I've had it looked at. I've looked at it. In fact, I even took the oil pan off this thing and resealed it. And everything's fine. It's just that I've got a little leakage. It is not coming from up top. It may be coming from the oil cooler and oil filter housing. I've already replaced that as well. So it's slowed way down, but you're still probably going to see a little bit of wetness in there. Not quite finger loose yet. Let's get her out of here. There it is. Okay, let's inspect this thing. This is a control arm that, as you've noted already, has the ball joint in it. Let's start with the ball joint. Let's see how it looks. The boot is clean. There's no cracks in it. there's no movement up and down in the ball this way, so that's fine. But one thing is that this thing is just loose as all get out, so I'm not sure it would have much longer to go. Now let's look at these bushings. I'm gonna have to figure out how to do some better lighting here because I'm not sure you're gonna be able to see very well. Let's find out. Let me adjust some things. All right, I don't know if that'll be any better or not, but let's take a look at the bushings. We move, but I don't know if you can see it or not. The lighting is so bad. I'm so sorry. All right, let's try this. This bushing, like the other side, the driver's side, there is movement in it, but not so bad. The other side of it, oh yeah. Okay, I don't know if you can see this or not. Let me see if I get my angle just right. It may have just been shadow that I was seeing. I thought it was split, but it's not. So that would have been the front bushing. Here's the rear. And that one is split, and it's split pretty bad. Let's see if you can see that. I think you can. Let me get another screwdriver and just kind of show you where that's at. All right. I pry. You see, make sure you're in the frame here. That whole side, I don't know if you can see that or not, but that whole side where I'm pointing with the screwdriver is torn. So that's not half, it's probably about a third of that bushing is torn away from the outside. It's also tearing along the outer edge right here. So I'm sure that was some of the squeaking noise I'm getting. And it's starting to tear right there. So, yeah, this one was really shot. Worse than the driver's side, I think. right, so control arm is started in. Got both of those bolts in. They are snugged. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and tighten up this axle nut to snug. All of this has to be under tension. So I will jack this up out here a little bit once I get everything kind of settled again. Get my axle straightened out and everything. Get this snugged up. I will raise this up, put it under load, so like a right height, and then I will come back under and I will torque. I'll get the torque wrench out and I'll torque all these. I'll put the final torque on the axle nut once I have the wheel back on and it's on the ground. That way I can really put some pressure on it, because I don't remember the torque spec. I'll look it up in my Haynes manual, but I remember it being quite a bit. So I think on all of these, I think there's a process where you tighten them to a certain foot-pound, then you have to crank them again for certain degrees and whatnot to its final spot. So I'm going to get all of that ready, get this up. I'll torque this, and then basically we'll be done. All right, I got my Haynes manual out for the torque spec. So the drive shaft retaining nut, there's 3 stages, 111 foot-pounds, then back off by 45 degrees, and then do a final stage of 185 foot-pounds. So that'll be easier to do when the wheel's back on the ground. We want to look at the ball joint clamp nut, which is what I'm about to do. It is 37 foot-pounds. Some people say pound-feet. I don't like it. I was raised to say foot-pounds, so that's what I'm doing. And then the lower arm ball joint to lower ball joint to lower arm, rear engine mounting torque. Let's see here. Where are we at? I need the control arms. Lower arm to subframe. Here it is. Lower arm to subframe, stage 1, 66 foot-pounds. Stage 2, another 75 degrees. And then stage 3, another 15 degrees. So that is what we will do. And I'm going to do it off camera because, quite frankly, it's a pain to get up under there with the jack holding the thing up and whatnot. So I'm going to torque the clamp nut where the ball joint goes in. Then I'm going to get a jack under here and put that up to right height. And when I go to torque all that stuff under there, there's just not a lot of room. And so I can't do that and hold the camera at the same time. So you'll just have to trust me. All right, I know the lighting's terrible, but here's what I got. I'm ready to put the wheel back on, and then I'll put the final torque on the axle nut. I'll crawl back under there before I do anything else, though, just to make sure that axle's still seated in there. I got my plastic piece back up under here. I have the bolts torqued appropriately for the control arm and also for the ball joint pinch nut, all torqued to spec according to the Haynes manual. So after I crawl under there and just double check everything with the axle, then I'll put the wheel back on, give this a final torque to whatever it's supposed to be, and I think we'll be good to go. 111, stage 1. Backing off at 45 degrees. Then torque to 185. Done. Okay, I'm back from my test drive. Everything seems to feel good. It handles nice. I'll know more when I get it out on the open road and kind of get it up to a higher speed, but for in town, and I was able to accelerate and whatnot. I did not feel the vibration from the axle, so that's good. The new axle seems to be good, and actually steering seems to go straight down the road as well, but I still will take it and have the alignment checked. And like I said, maybe get a couple new tires. All right, there is my DIY way of getting the axle replaced and then also replacing that lower control arm on the front, which also gives me a new ball joint. Couple of things. Disclaimer. One is, make sure you're looking everything up and learning how to do it, we'll say the right way. I did it by the Haynes manual way. I also have done this a number of times. I learned how to do just out on the farm. I'm confident that what I've done here is going to be working just fine for me. This car does not drive long distances. I drive basically, maybe 5 miles to work, 5 miles home, if even that. So, and because of traffic, I rarely get going above 50 miles per hour. Sometimes I might get up to 60, and even on rare occasions, I might get up around the 70 mile an hour mark, but not often. So I'm confident that what I've got here is going to be just fine. I'm going to have to go get this aligned. I'm probably going to have a price on a couple of new tires for this thing as well. These tires are about 6 or 8 years old. Still have good tread on them, but they're kind of hard and they're rough riding down the road. So that tells me that they're pretty well aged and probably need to be swapped out. So I'm a bit of a cheapskate, being a farm kid. So I will probably just buy 2 new tires, and then later in the summer, once I've saved up a little bit more money, I'll buy another 2. I'll move the new ones from the back to the front, and then put the other new ones later on the rear of the car and go from there. But at this point, I will take it and get it aligned and go from there. I've got everything torqued to spec. I've followed the book. Yeah, this is how I would do it. But again, I would always double check on your vehicle for the proper way of handling these things. And if you're at all uncomfortable or you don't have all of the tools or any of that kind of thing, it probably is worth it for you to go and take it to a shop and have somebody do it for you. And I always recommend that you find a mom and pop shop if you can. Check on, Better Business Bureau and Google and whatever else. You can see how they're rated. And if they seem to get good and good reviews, give them a shot and give your money to the little guys. So, all right, we'll talk to you soon. One last thing I forgot to mention, because I replaced my axle, I did not notice any transmission fluid drip out of the trans, but if you're working on your own car and you see some fluid leaking out, you're going to want, and I will on this anyways, even though I didn't see any leak out, you're going to want to check your trans fluid just to make sure that you're all up to level. Which reminds me, I got to do an oil change on this thing too. Always something.